So here's the question. First one, do I have a place? Do I have a special spot of prayer? Do I have an anointed area where I go to talk with God, to connect with Him, to bend His ear, to listen to Him speaking back to me? Because that's prayer, right? Prayer is this two-way conversation of I can't, God, you can. That's what prayer is. I can't, you can. Hey, it's good to see you. Like Justin said, I hope you have a great Memorial Day weekend planned. There's a memory that I have when I was in about the third grade. That's just like, when I think of Memorial Day, this is here. We took a trip when I was in the third grade to Washington, D.C. And my dad really wanted to take us there for several reasons, but one of those reasons, he was in the Army when my mom and him first married. He spent a year or so over in Vietnam, and he was there. So we get to the wall, the Vietnam Wall in D.C., and man, I never will forget just seeing my dad, who's not a very emotional guy at all. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen him cry in my life, maybe once. But I remembered him just at the wall with his hand placed there, just leaning up against it in several different places. It's because he lost some friends that were very close to him, very dear to him. And so I never will forget that. And so when I think about Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend, it goes far beyond the Memorial Day sales and being off on Monday. You know what I mean? Although we did buy a dryer on Friday because our dryer went out, so hallelujah. But man, I have this vivid image of my father just mourning the loss of his friends. So I just want to encourage you to take some time on Monday and remember these brave, incredible men and women who've gone before us and have really given their lives in service to our country. So thank God, if that's you, if you've got some family members or some friends, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But happy Memorial Day. Thanks to those men and women. Memorial Day weekend is also kind of the entrance into summer, right? Who's excited about summer? Who's already experiencing summer right now? Let me see your hands. Who has not yet entered into the summer holiday? Are you angry about that? A little bit? Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Summer is taking center stage, no doubt, in everyone's thoughts right now. Any time I run into someone, it's almost like the same question is asked. Like, hey, do you have summer plans? What are your summer plans? Where are you going this summer? Right? I mean, the summer movies are coming out. Saw Mission Impossible, the final one on Thursday. It was just awesome, y'all. It was so good. But as we round kind of third base of spring, headed towards home to summer, I want to encourage you to do something, right? We're in the middle of this. We finished I Am last week, the I Am series, and next week we start our new summer series. So this is like a standalone service with what are we going to preach on? And so we've been praying about that. And so every location is preaching on something different. And I began to search my heart and go, God, what do you want me to share on Memorial Day weekend with the Bel Air campus? And the Lord put something on my heart just so strong. So I want to encourage you to do something this summer. Can I do that? All right, here it is. I want to encourage you to do something this summer. Pause for effect. I want to encourage you and give you permission this summer to bother God. I want you to bother Him. You heard me? You heard me right. I want you to bother. I want you to badger Him. I want you to be a nuisance to God. I want you to annoy God in prayer. You with me? I want you to spend the summer doing that. Let's all agree to do it together. Do you ever get badgered or annoyed throughout your day? Do people ever badger you or annoy you throughout your day? Of course. On the count of 3, I want you to just shout the name of the person or people who, no, don't do that. A mom on TikTok got annoyed at her kid And she posted an update recently on how many times in one day her child said, Mom. 144 times in one day. I didn't think that was too spectacular. I thought it'd be higher than that, actually. Another mom, I thought this one was more impressive. She counted the amount of times in a 15-minute commute car ride home that her toddler said, Mom. 94 times in 15 minutes. That's pretty impressive. Wouldn't you agree? 94 times. Here's the challenge. Spend the summer bothering God in prayer. I'm going to ask you 3 questions this morning in preparation for your summer challenge. I'm going to take this challenge too. I want you to join me in the journey. All right? But I want to present some questions to ask yourself that might help you to bother God in prayer this summer. Here's the first question. And all these are really coming out of Luke 18, 1 through 8, although there are more places too. But here's the first question. Do I have a place? Do I have a place? Look at Luke 18, 1. This is Jesus. Luke tells us, and he, Jesus, told them, his disciples, his boys, his friends, a parable to the effect that they ought always to pray and not to lose heart. Now, this is really, really fascinating to me. Here's Jesus, and prayer is on his mind at this time. Reason why I'm curious about that is because he's very close to heading to Jerusalem, where he's going to be captured, he's going to be murdered for the sins of the world willingly. He's giving himself up, even though he hasn't done anything wrong. He's about to die for your sins, my sins, the sins of the entire world. He's about to be put in a grave, and he's about to resurrect from the dead and overcome death itself. And he's thinking about what his friends need to hear, what they need to get, because his time with them is super limited. So what do I need to pour into them so that they can be discipled in this area, be mentored so that they're more prepared and they can exercise this thing? It's prayer. And so he says, listen, guys, you ought always to pray and never lose heart. They need to get prayer. Wouldn't you say we need to understand prayer better too? Prayer's hard. It's hard for me. Sometimes I just don't get it. It's mysterious. It's puzzling at times. But listen, Jesus knows the human condition, and he knows that the human condition, when we are praying and not necessarily seeing results within that prayer, the human condition is to lose heart, isn't it? To quit, to just stop, to give up. Have you ever felt like that? Man, you're just praying about something. You're praying about something. Maybe even you're praying about something and it goes from bad to worse as you continue to just pray. Gosh, I've been there. I'm just praying about this or that. And man, it just gets even harder. That's not the way that this is supposed to work, is it? Sometimes. The human condition is you're praying about something. The tendency is to give up, to quit. Listen, we tend to react to unanswered prayer with resignation. That's just truth. You're praying about something, you're like, man, I'm just committing myself to praying about this thing. And so, man, you're really committed. You spend a full 3 days praying about it. You ever been there? You're like, man, I'm really committing to prayer about this, and you spend about 3 days, and you're like, oh, I forgot to pray. Now, I'm talking about like this story that we're going to see today. It is a woman who's incredible. We don't know her name. But man, I can't wait to meet her. She has a lot to teach us. She's a fictional woman, but I believe she's going to be in heaven. We tend to react to unanswered prayer with resignation. I'm done. This is not working. Things are going from bad to worse. Here's Jesus. Listen, always pray. Don't quit. I know you want to. Don't lose heart. So here's the question. First one, do I have a place? Do I have a special spot of prayer? Do I have an anointed area where I go to talk with God, to connect with Him, to bend His ear, to listen to Him speaking back to me? Because that's prayer, right? Prayer is this two-way conversation of I can't, God, you can. That's what prayer is. I can't, you can. Do I have a spot in which to do that? That's the first question this morning. If you do not have a spot, your first course of action this summer in the challenge of bothering God in prayer is to create a place to talk with God. A place where you can spend some beautiful, meaningful time of conversation with Him, where God speaks to you. That's what He says. You ought always to pray and not lose heart. Do I have a spot? I've got a spot in my house where I pray. And man, God just speaks to me there. It's away from the TV. I try to leave technology out of that spot. I try to just let that be my place. It's in our front room, and I've got this chair that I love to sit in, and there's just something about that place that's holy to me. God speaks with me. I hear Him. I don't know, it's just something about it. It's taken time to cultivate it. So if you're looking for a spot, if you're like, Chris, I've got to create that spot because I'm like scatterbrained as far as my prayer life goes, I want to encourage you, create a spot. It'll take you a little bit of time to develop it, but do it, all right? Do it. Create that spot. And God just speaks to me there. It's really awesome. It's away from the noise. I don't know why, but that spot, I get away from the internal noise. And I get away from the external noise. There's also another spot. I talk to you about this all the time, but it's a street behind my house that's the street behind there. And man, I just get on that street and I just start walking. The Lord just starts talking to me. I don't know what it is. And I leave the house and I head out angry. I come back peaceful. I leave the house worried. I come back less worried. Anxious. I come back more confident. Burdened. I come back just with peace. I don't know what it is. And a lot of times I'm just headed out going on a walk and I'm not going on a prayer walk necessarily, but then I just start hearing God's voice. Over time, that path has just been cultivated. And it's such a beautiful thing to actually do that. So my question for you is, do you have a place? If you don't have a place, I want you to build a place this summer. You with me? Whatever that looks like. Could be your car. Could be your bedroom, your front room. Could be your living room. It could be your patio. It could be in the pool. It could be at the lake house. I don't know where it is, but build, create, develop a place, because Jesus says you need it. You ought always to pray and not lose heart. Here, let me give you the second question. Second question is this: after do I have a place? Do I have a posture? Look at verses 2-5. We're going to meet these two characters, and they're really important. Jesus is telling this parable, this story about praying and not losing heart. And he says, in a certain city, there was a judge who neither feared God nor respected man. There was a widow in that city who kept coming to him, this judge, and saying, "Give me justice against my adversary." For a while, the judge refused, but afterward, he said to himself, "Though I neither fear God nor respect man," at least he's self-aware, right? "Yet because this widow keeps bothering me," there's your word, "this widow just keeps bothering me, I will give her justice so that she will not beat me down by her continual coming." And I love this story that Jesus is sharing. It's really fascinating to me. Here's this judge. He's self-consumed. He's self-focused. He cares nothing about God. He cares nothing about people. He's just all in for life for himself. Like, what can I chase? What can I accomplish? What can I achieve? Me, me, me. This is him. We're also introduced to this widow. She's got some problem. We don't know what the problem is. We're not told. The only thing that we are told is that she needs some form of justice. She's been wronged, and now she needs some help. She's hurting. So she's gone to this judge, right? It's the only place she can go. It's the only person that she can plead to. So Jesus is telling this story about prayer, and he's like, hey, what does she do? She keeps going and going and going, and he keeps ignoring and ignoring and ignoring her. This is a real problem for this widow. Back in this day and in this culture, widows were pretty much powerless, helpless. She didn't have any income. There was nothing for her to earn, no way for her to even earn. There was obviously here in this story no family to help her out, to come to her aid. And so there was complete dependence on other people for help, and there were not a lot of other people who helped her, if any at all. She had no protector who could go arm in arm with her to this judge and say, hey, listen to this lady's case. Things are bad. She's been wrong. There's none of that. She has no position to bribe this judge. There's nothing she can do. She's desperate. She's desperate. The only thing she could do, she did. The only thing she could do was bother the judge. And so day and night, she would go to this judge and bother him. Ask for help. Give me justice against my adversary was her plea. And she would just bother the fool out of this guy. That's all she could do. You ever been there? Powerless, helpless, unable to buy your way out of something, unable to network your way out of something, desperate, completely dependent on something or someone else's mercy. You just are there. Maybe you understand what that's like. Maybe there's something going on in your life where you're like, there's nothing I can do here. Zero. I've got this health thing and I can't do anything about it. Unless God moves, I stay put right here in this situation. And it stinks. This is this lady. Verse 3 just says, all she could do, she kept coming to him and saying, give me justice against my adversary. How did the judge respond to this? Verse 5, yet because this widow keeps bothering me, I will give her justice so that she will not beat me down with her continual coming. I like the way that the Message puts this. The Message version says, this is the judge speaking, I'd better do something and see that she gets justice. Otherwise, I'm going to end up black and blue by her pounding. Love that. This continual coming in the Greek, the original language of the New Testament, is a boxing term. So it's literally like throwing punches, her prayers, her pounding on this judge's door. And she just one blow after another, and this judge feels like emotionally beat up and tired. She has worn him down. Let me ask you this. Do you see this woman's posture? I'm not talking about standing or sitting or like laying face down on the ground in prayer. None of that. When I talk about posture, I mean her desperation. She has a problem and she's powerless to solve it. She can't do anything. Her posture is simply this posture of bothering God. Remember now, what's fascinating is Jesus is sharing this story to his boys, saying, I want you guys to understand the power of prayer before I go back and I'm physically with the Father and no longer physically with you. You got to get this. And he paints this picture of this widow who's bothering God. In essence, Jesus is saying this: when you have something in your life that you're praying about, bother God with your burden. It's Jesus saying, annoy God with my adversity. Irritate God with my issue. Pester God with my problem. And listen, don't stop. Isn't that interesting? So let me ask you a question. What burden do you have right now? This summer, if the exercise, if the challenge is to bother God in prayer, what bubbles to the surface without even having to think about it that is going on in my life that is causing me anxiety, that is causing me worry, that is causing me some fear, that is causing me some stuff that I don't like? What is the irritation in my life? What is my adversity? What is my problem? What is it? Now capture that. And listen, I want you to commit the summer to bother God with that. You with me? Because this is what Jesus is saying to do. I want to teach you how to pray. Learn from this widow. Go to the judge and just keep pounding on the door and don't stop. So whatever that is, go there. What's interesting is Luke 18 begins with this invitation from Jesus to bother God, and Luke 18 also ends with this. I want to read to you verses 35 through 40, same chapter, Luke 18. This is Jesus, and it says, as he drew near to Jericho, a blind man was sitting by the roadside begging, and hearing a crowd going by, he inquired what this meant, and they told him, Jesus of Nazareth is passing by. And he cried out, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Watch this. And those who were in front rebuked him. Like, stop bothering Jesus. He's going somewhere. He's on a mission. Don't interrupt him. He's busy. Like, just settle down, calm down. You're just a beggar. Watch what happens next. As soon as they told this guy to pipe down, I love this. It says, but he cried out all the more, Son of David, have mercy on me. In other words, he starts going nuts. You just picture that, right? He completely ignored them and he just started going crazy. Jesus, 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 hey, over here, have mercy. You can just see it happening, right? He completely ignored the rebuke. Now watch what happens after that. Verse 40. As he did that, Jesus stopped and commanded him to be brought to him. And when he came near, Jesus asked him, what do you want me to do for you? Isn't that pretty powerful? What did Jesus respond to? He responded to this man's refusal to stop asking. It made Jesus smile. It made Jesus stop. It annoyed all the other people. It excited Jesus. And what could happen in our lives when we come to Christ in prayer and we refuse to give up? Right? God, what might happen? So powerful. There's another story, Luke chapter 11. His disciples come to him. You may be familiar with this. And they ask him, Lord, teach us how to pray. And so Jesus teaches them this short little prayer called the Lord's Prayer, right? Y'all know the Lord's Prayer? Our Father. Do y'all know the King James Version or the NIV? Anyway. I always laugh at that when we're doing like a corporate recital of the Lord's Prayer. I'm always like, okay, who are the King James people and who are the... Anyway, So he teaches him this pray, our Father in heaven, hallowed be, right? He walks through that. And then he adds something beautiful at the end of that. He says this, which of you who has a friend will go to him at midnight and say to him, friend, lend me 3 loaves. For a friend of mine has arrived on a journey and I have nothing to set before him. And he will answer from within, do not bother me. The door is now shut and my kids are in the bed. I cannot get up and give you anything. Now that would be me. Anybody else? Like, I'm tired. Sorry, you should have prepared better. Amen? Okay, it's just me. I'm just the callous and cold guy. If you come to my house at midnight and you bang on the door asking for bread, I'm telling you, sorry. Jesus says, I tell you, though he will not get up and give him anything because he is his friend, yet because of his impudence, he will rise and give him whatever he needs. Impudence. Did you use that word in a sentence this past week? Probably not. Impudence means boldness, almost verging on rudeness. You see the posture of this guy? Posture of the blind beggar was just a refusal to quit. The posture of this man is this refusal. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's powerful. If you read the Psalms, that's what you see. Where do you feel powerless? Jim Cymbala writes, I discovered an astonishing truth. God is attracted to weakness. He can't resist those who humbly and honestly admit how desperately they need him. Our weakness, in fact, makes room for his power. Where do you feel powerless? I can't do anything about this. Here's what you can do. You can accept God's invitation, and the invitation is to incessantly irritate God. That's what we're going to do this summer, right? We're going to create a place, if we haven't done that already. We're going to have this posture of incessantly irritating him. That's what he says to do. Let me give you the third question. Do I understand the promise? Look at verses 6 through 8. Jesus continues sharing this parable, this story, and he says, hear what the unrighteous judge says. And will not God give justice to his elect who cry to him day and night? Will he delay long over them? I tell you, he will give justice to them speedily. Jesus says there's a promise. Always pray, do not lose heart. If you do that, if you irritate God, there's a promise. He says, don't miss what this unjust judge, this unrighteous judge did. He's intentionally contrasting God with the unjust judge. If the unrighteous judge responds with favor to this widow, listen, how much more will the righteous and good, compassionate, kind, forgiving, merciful God respond to the prayers of his people? God's not like this unjust judge. No, he's good. He's perfect and he's faithful. So don't quit. Don't lose heart, because he will not dismiss your prayers. When you pray them, he will not deny you. He will deliver. He will come through. He will help you. He will provide for you. He will sustain you. He will help you. That's what Jesus is saying here. There is a promise if you'll hold on, if you'll irritate. if you'll bother. D.L. Moody, pastor in Chicago, he says this: some people think that God does not like to be troubled with our constant coming and asking. The way to trouble God is not to come at all. So here's the challenge. Do I have a place? Do I have a posture? Do I understand the promise? Let's spend the summer trying, and this is the key, trying to bother God. Because here's the truth, spoiler alert, you know this, it is impossible to bother God in prayer. You can't do it. Isn't that good news? It is impossible. It brings a smile to his face when you bang on his door consistently and constantly. Do it. So here's what we're going to do in response this morning. We're going to begin. We're going to begin to bother God in prayer. So today I'm going to put a question on the screen. The band's going to come out in just a moment, and they're going to start to sing this song over us as we begin to bring to God what's on our heart. Whatever that burden, adversity, issue, problem is. And we're going to just bother God with that. Here's your question. We're going to start to persist today in prayer. What am I going to bring to God over and over and over and over and over this summer? I want you to think about that. I want you to have that on your mind to begin as we start this song seated. I want you to begin your calling out to Him.